Former Lakers star Lamar Odom was rushed to a hospital Tuesday afternoon after he was found unresponsive at a Nevada brothel. The Nye County Sheriff's Office says Odom was stabilized at the scene and taken to a local hospital. He was treated there by doctors and transferred to Sunrise Hospital in Las Vegas. Kobe Bryant visited Odom last night, according to ESPN's Ramona Shelbourne. Odom played 14 years in the NBA and won a six-man award and 2 titles with the Lakers. Stephen A., my stomach dropped when I read this story last night. What's your reaction?
Incredibly sad, to be honest with you. I've known Lamar Odom, obviously, for over 15 years now. We first met, actually, when he was in high school. For a short while, Skip, he went to Christ the King High School in Queens, New York. Ultimately ended up at the University of Rhode Island before he went to the pros as the 4th overall pick. Really good player, somebody who underachieved when you consider the fact that he was 6'10" and a lefty, all the things that he could do on the basketball court. I know that he always drove Kobe Bryant crazy because Kobe loved him dearly, but at the same time, it was like they were fire and ice. Kobe was, you know, straight fire coming at you, and Lamar Odom was always cool. And I remember when they beat Boston in the finals in Game 7, I was in Boston. They were down 3-2 heading back to L.A., and Lamar Odom was like, relax, we're going back to the crib. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. That was, always his mentality. And I remember I was on SportsCenter one time, Skip, and I was going back and forth with our very own Robert Flores, because I pointed out how once Lamar Odom departed from L.A., when they let him go, to say that he was devastated doesn't put it in its proper context. He came on my radio show in 2011 when I had the show ESPN LA, and he was literally crying on the air because he had gotten let go and traded by the Los Angeles Lakers. He was flat out devastated. And I talked about how Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks, before they let him go, how they were going to have to let him go. He had zero interest in playing. It wasn't just about being in LA. He absolutely loved being a Los Angeles Laker. And from that moment forward was where the precipitous fall took place. And you heard so many different rumors about drug use, about partying nonstop, about not having a care in the world. And then, Skip, I pulled him to the side and we had a conversation one time. And he was devastated because from the time he had married Khloe Kardashian, he felt like, loved ones that he had always been there for didn't want to be there for him. And what people don't understand is that when it comes to a guy like Lamar Odom, that's going to hit him and affect him differently. It's not that he's weak or anything like that. He is a bit sensitive, no matter how cool he tries to come across. But he also hurts and stings relatively easier compared to other people because, Skip Bayless, I've known this man for over 15 years. My hand on a stack of Bibles. Molly, Skip, I have never, ever, ever heard him say one negative word about another human being. He's the only person that I've ever met in my life that has never said a negative word about another human being that I've heard. I've never heard him say it. He's never spoken negatively against anyone. And that time that he confided in me about his family, he just felt like their disappointment or whatever was so glaring that he felt abandoned at that particular moment in time. I hadn't spoken to him face to face since then. That was a few years ago. He was still married to Khloe Kardashian at the time. But that's one of the things that he was going through. And so the combination of that, one can imagine, combined with the ultimate divorce from Khloe Kardashian because of his behavior off the field once he had gotten traded by the Los Angeles Lakers and somehow, some way wasn't able to get back there, it devastated him. It wasn't enough to be in L.A. He loved seeing Jack at courtside and Denzel on the baseline and you know, Dustin Hoffman and Andy Garcia and these folks in the stands. He loved the whole allure that was the Lakers. It was an addiction to him before other addictions evidently came into play. And so now we find ourselves in a situation where we're hearing the very worst. We don't know. The reports haven't come out, but obviously he appears to be in dire straits from what the reports are indicating. I hope and pray that he's going to be okay, but it doesn't sound that way. And at the end of the day, anybody who knows Lamar Odom in the NBA and beyond will tell you that this is a very, very bad day because he is one of the nicest human beings you will ever meet.
I appreciate your insight into Lamar Odom. I am so with you on this one. Now I'll give you my insight into this young man. He's still a young man. Rooting for him, praying for him, as are you, as is Molly. In 1999, when I was the columnist, as I mentioned earlier in the show, at the Chicago Tribune, I campaigned for the Bulls as they rebuilt post-Michael Jordan to draft Lamar Odom #1 in that draft. And I was very disappointed on draft night when they did not. They went with Elton Brand, sort of an undersized forward, tough kid, you know, great competitor, great intangibles, great locker room guy, but not the #1 overall pick in the draft. And Lamar fell to 4th to go to the Clippers. Shook me up. Tim Floyd, the new coach of the Bulls, pulled me aside after the draft was over, and he said, I appreciate everything you wrote about Lamar because I was in your camp. I was pushing internally for us to take Lamar. But he missed several flights to come and be interviewed by us, and the only one he made was yesterday. So the first time they even got to meet Lamar Odom was the day before the draft. And on that day, according to Tim Floyd, he sat down with their team psychiatrist and readily admitted that he smoked marijuana before every game. Not just random games, he always smoked marijuana before any game he played to calm himself down and put himself into, as he said, his basketball state of mind. And Jerry Krause, to his credit, I had lots of issues with Jerry, but he sat at their board table and he said, I'm not taking that guy with the 1st overall pick after he admitted that to us. Meanwhile, the great Tex Winter, you know Tex, the inventor of the triangle, a longtime Bulls assistant, said after the draft that as he interviewed Lamar, in all of Tex's years interviewing kids who were draftable, that this kid, Lamar Odom, had the best command of basketball history Tex had ever encountered from a college kid. The best. And he also said he considered Lamar Odom's basketball IQ at the top of the list of any college kid he had ever seen. Those are powerful words from a Tex Winter. But yet they said, no, we just can't risk it with the marijuana issue hanging over our heads from day to game to day to game. And here's the great irony, and to compliment you on what you said about Lamar. As fate would have it, I then went on vacation to Los Angeles. I was at a hotel in Santa Monica, and I look up, it's 2 days later, and there's Lamar Odom. And I thought, this is fate. So I walked up and I said, Lamar, you probably don't know me, but I've been campaigning for you to be the 1st pick of the Bulls because I'm from Chicago. He said, oh, I know who you are. We sat down in the lobby, and I'm so with you. We had a heart-to-heart because he's got a big, sweet, good heart. I love the kid. But he admitted, you know, he came from a drug culture. You know all the stories. He couldn't trust any parent that he had, everybody involved in drugs in his immediate family. And he just couldn't trust anyone or trust life. And I could tell that he was going to have some struggles because he was troubled already. But he was a good kid with a great basketball mind. And that's the waste here, and I hope he can recover. But the waste to me is that he always fought these issues that interfered slightly with his ability to be great at basketball.
But he's fought these issues, Skip Bayless, and I appreciate what you're saying. I think these are one of those moments where you got to turn back and give the Lakers organization credit, because
Yep.
he loved being a part of the Los Angeles Lakers. You know, and when you think about the fact that he's going through last night, going through what he's going through, and just last night you're hearing that Kobe Bryant it paid him a visit. You know, it just reminds you, and we should take a moment to remind the world of who these NBA guys are. You know, I mean, it is a brotherhood by and large. Yeah, you might go out there and compete with one another. Yeah, you might even be annoyed with people sometimes. I know it drove Kobe crazy to watch Lamar Odom. I'll never forget, I've never seen Kobe more disgusted. Well, I take that back. I've seen Kobe disgusted on quite a few occasions. But I remember one of the times that he was incredibly disgusted was when ESPN/ABC was doing a feature on Lamar Odom and all the candy he ate. The Skittles and the Twizzlers and, sweet and sour patches and I mean, this dude ate everything, all the candy, and Kobe was just so disgusted because obviously Kobe's going to take care of his health, and he believes that you got to be at peak condition to compete on an elite level, and at the time they would compete for championships, so that kind of thing disgusted him. But to know Lamar Odom was to love him. He was one of those cool, he's one of those cool guys, one of them cool brothers. That, again, never has a bad word for anybody. And I think you'll see the entire NBA community, with a lot of thoughtful brothers who care about the right people for the right reasons, particularly at the right time, step forward and express their thoughts and their prayers for him and God. And we just hope that, that God blesses him and he doesn't end up leaving us. But it's something that's on everybody's mind right now in the NBA community, because a lot of people know what Lamar Odom overcame. And I'm here to tell you right now, the drop for me, I can't emphasize this enough, the drop began when he left the Los Angeles Lakers. It was devastating. He was miserable from that point forward.
We're all pulling for Lamar Odom, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family and loved ones. We'll have more First Take after the break.